right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on applications of Agentic AI for improved marketing performance. I'm Nisha Sharma, your moderator for today, and I lead our partnerships here at MediaMint. And today I'm excited to be hosting this session with one of our partners, Hightouch. And joining me are Alec, who's General Manager of AI Decisioning at Hightouch, and Sarah Rose, who's Head of Agency Business Group at MediaMint. Sarah and Alec, it's great to have you both here. And before we get started, just apart from your titles, please just tell us a little bit about yourselves. Sarah, you want to start?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be on with everyone today. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. And it is a conversation. We're going to just chat on some ideas around Agentic. A little bit about my background, 20 years of experience in the industry. I've been primarily focused in the agency side for about 7.5 years at IPG Kinesso, managing their global operations organizations there, and joined MediaMint in January to lead the agency business group. So really strategic engagements across the agency and demand side engagements. And prior to that, I was very much focused on ad technology platforms, and before that, on the publisher side of the business. So a span of experience across supply and demand side is my experience, and I'm really looking forward to this.
And then,
Thanks,
nice
Eric.
to meet everybody. My name's Alec. I'm the GM of our AI decisioning product here at Hightouch. I was actually previously one of Hightouch's first customers. I was a director of data products and MarTech at a company called Red Ventures here in Charlotte, North Carolina. They own a bunch of different brands and got to roll out many of the different pieces of the MarTech stack there, whether it was ESPs, CDPs, we built, we bought, have many scars up and down the arms to tell those stories. And after seeing what Hightouch could do as a customer, made the jump over when it was just a small crew of 20. We're now pushing 300, so it's been a bit of a wild ride, and excited to chat with you all today about agents and what we're building at Hightouch.
Thanks, Alec. And Sarah. Alec, maybe just for those who are not familiar with Hightouch, could you just tell a little bit about what Hightouch does, what it's all about?
Yeah, sure. So Hightouch is an AI decisioning and a customer data platform. So we started out primarily in the CDP space, really disrupting that category with a new architecture that is now known as the composable CDP. What that basically means is that we bring all the capabilities that a CDP would otherwise give you, this time, however, on top of your data warehouse. So on top of data stores like Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery, we just simply plug into that and give you modular products like event collection, identity resolution, audience activation, et cetera, to allow marketers go and activate the data out to the many tools they need it in. We're really building upon that foundation and bringing AI agents to that same type of architecture. So AI decisioning, and we'll talk through this a little bit more later in the webinar, but bringing AI agents to really help marketers make personalization decisions. And again, on top of that data warehouse. So we're trusted by enterprise customers like PetSmart, Domino's, and many more. And excited to chat with you all and show you more of what we're building.
Awesome. Thanks. Thank you, Alec. And Sarah, how about you, a little bit about what you're doing at MediaMint and what MediaMint is?
Yeah, MediaMint is a global AI-powered revenue operations company. So we're supporting clients across the ecosystem, from agencies, brands, publishers, ad technology platforms, marketing technology organizations. We support organizational growth through services and tech. So, and we're going to be talking about some of those AI agents that we've deployed in the industry, but it's really across media operations, marketing operations, sales operations, customer success, and data and engineering. So those are our buckets and our pillars. And we've been around for quite some time, since 2010, and we've grown the company from just an operations organizations to really into the technology agentic solution. So yeah, that's a bit about MediaMint, and I lead the agency business group in that, and that's where I engage, to answer your question, Nisha.
Thank you, Sarah. All right. So I'm just going to ask a bunch of questions. I think we've got a really interesting topic here today. And yes, I received a question, is this webinar recording available later? Yes, of course, it will be available. And please, for those of you who are attending, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them as well. So today's conversation is all about agentic AI. Hot topic, of course, these days. Let's start with the basics. Right. So, Alec, how would you define agentic AI in the context of marketing performance, and how is it different from traditional AI?
For sure. So agentic AI, first off, let's definitely acknowledge it's a very broad term. But the simple definition of that that I like to think about is an agent is essentially a program that can operate independently towards a goal, right? So it can gather info, it can make decisions, and it acts and it learns on its own. That's the biggest differentiator from like more traditional AI, where you can think things like predictive scores or like static modelings, right? Where it gives you a single output, but it's not necessarily a program that's actually autonomously operating. So we think of agentic AI here at Hightouch as really decision making, helping to do things like make decisions about personalization or helping to expose back insights to marketing teams where it's truly operating on its own. I have a diagram I'll share. Let me see if I can share this. Cool. Can you see my screen? Cool. So here at Hightouch, again, we apply AI agents in a couple of different ways. Our primary being our AI decisioning platform, where we're really trying to solve kind of the traditional marketing problem where marketers historically have been building rules and journeys, right? So when you think about how lifecycle marketing teams engage with their customers today, they really primarily rely on kind of this flow where they start by defining an audience, right? So they define the rules around what type of users they want to engage with. They then go and make all the different rules and journeys, whether that's batch and blast or trigger-based campaigns, all the individual pieces of content, and trying to get to some level of personalization with that. They then analyze outcomes and go back up to the top, right? So it's a lot of rule-based marketing and guesswork. Sure, you can use AI for that. You can personalize off of things like propensity scores, right, as you're doing your decision trees. But what we're really excited by is this concept of agentic marketing, where rather than building all these individual rules, marketers are instead building agents. And when you build an agent, the first thing you need to do is define the goal. So in the context of Hightouch, when we build agents, we're saying, hey, start by defining a goal of maybe it's like a win back, a cross sell, or an upsell, something that you want to drive users towards. You then provide all the different pieces of content and creative for the agent to go and select from. And again, the agent is then operating on its own and figuring out what to send to each user. It's just at a scale that a human marketer simply couldn't do, looking at each one of your millions of customers and making these decisions. So I will call out there's a lot more applications than just here in the world of marketing. This is how we think about it at Hightouch. But really, again, allowing the agent to go and operate autonomously.
Thank you for setting that context, Alex. So Sarah, from a business perspective, what pain points in marketing operations and analytics would you say are best addressed by agentic AI?
Yeah, there's really three core issues that are addressed, some core functions that are addressed, and I'll break them out into the three. So one is really fragmented workflows. And the problem of manual effort. So teams spend a lot of time across their data, trying to access data across multiple databases, moving files, chasing approvals, things like that. In AI, agentic AI acts as a coordinator and then automates these repetitive tasks across the campaign setup, QA, pacing, et cetera. So there's like less human focus on those like manual efforts and those fragmented workflows, all of the spreadsheets. I know we all are in them every day, you guys. So agentic AI solves that problem. The third is really slow reactive analytics. So, when you're trying to pull a lot of data, trying to analyze that data, agentic AI acts to continuously monitor that data, and then it detects anomalies and then can take corrective actions, automate some optimizations in the media space, et cetera. And the last is the data to action gap. And this is what Alec was actually referring to. So you are heavily focused on CDP and data lakes, and having a strong standardized data lake is what is supportive for a agentic AI to actually function. But a agentic AI can automatically like pull customer segments and manage the outcome ahead of time. So you put in the outcome that you want, and then agentic AI can fill in that gap and help develop those user journeys in a more sophisticated manner. So those are the three core ones I would focus from a marketing perspective. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So speaking of these AI agents, like what type of agents do different marketing use cases require to be effective? Alec, can you maybe paint a high level picture of how this works?
Yeah. So again, maybe taking a step back, not every problem requires the same type of agent, right? And not every problem even requires an agent at all. So the real value comes from actually finding the right agents for the right use cases. And as you'll see kind of throughout this conversation, there's many different flavors of agents. Again, at Hightouch, we spend a lot of time thinking about which use cases are actually the right fit. So for example, with our AI decisioning product, we see evergreen, always on marketing campaigns like cross sells, win backs, or recurring purchases as really fantastic fits for these decisioning agents. They have a lot of opportunity to learn from engagement and experiments to kind of drive that compounding performance. Other use cases, though, like a one-time holiday send might not be a great fit, right? The agent doesn't have a lot of time to learn from that. So you might want to pull in other types of agents. Maybe it's around creative or insights. When we think about agents, though, we really bucket into two kind of key product areas. The first is internal facing agents. So agents that help marketing teams move faster and really like raise the quality of their work. So things like workflow automation, campaign QA, or content exploration. The other side of that is external facing AI agents, which are agents that are operating directly inside of customer experiences, right? Deciding what to show someone from that decisioning example, what emails to send, what web experiences to display, and how to personalize those. But of course, again, there's many different applications across marketing. So Sarah, I'm curious to hear how you'd kind of add on to that and think across those broader categories.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll focus primarily on the operations POV, on how to activate and then also just in some of the more sophisticated strategy components with that. So I see it in five buckets. So you've got your operational agents, which is like your execution and your automation. And these agents do learn, but they mostly work from a S to S integration across the ecosystem to engage and activate campaigns in a demand side platform. The second is really your analytics agents, so your insights and your forecasting. So if you have multiple databases where you're trying to put forecasting, like where do I spend media, analytics agents are able to pull continuously those data streams and are able to activate to pull those types of analytics. And the third is really creative agents. So being able to do content creation on the fly for specific users, you're the Hightouch user. So being able to create creative assets, copy images, video variants, things like that for audience signals, such from the composable CDP from Hightouch. And then also being able to automatically change video versions in like a CTV environment. So that's like the third creative agent. And then the fourth is your data activation agent. So specifically to Hightouch user journeys, sitting on top like a composable CDP like Hightouch, connecting customer segments in platforms in real time, automatically understanding audience churn risk, and being able to push ads in a more sophisticated manner for a better ROI. And the fifth is actually your strategy agent. So this is your media planning agent, your agent that's able to provide the best media plan based on a marketing mix model strategy. These media planning agents really support large amounts of data and are able to put together a plan that is specific to gaining an ROI and a ROAS for that advertiser. So those are the five different AI agents that MediaMint specifically focuses on in the ecosystem. And this is what we've really developed to help move forward the marketing industry.
So many examples of how we can use agents here, and it's so fascinating. I'll just remind the audience again, if you have any questions or want to dig in a little more, please feel free to ask in the chat. But now let's explore a few specific use cases, right? And if, like, as an example, if I would like to align AI agents to one specific marketing outcome, let's say building lucrative audience segments, right? How can agents help here? Alec?
Yes, I was just typing in the chat. I think I'm going to answer part of this in this question, but I'd actually
Yeah.
argue that it's not about audience segments anymore a lot of the time. So as I kind of talk through those use cases of those like evergreen, always on campaigns, the way that we think about things is like, hey, throw the audience logic out the window, right? Instead of building those rules and journeys, instead start by defining the outcomes that you're trying to drive, aka build an agent, right? So in Hightouch, when you log in and you go into AI decisioning, the first thing you do when you click create a new agent is define the outcomes that you want to drive towards and also away from. So it kind of shifts the thinking of a marketer from like, I have an audience, here's all the possible content I could want to send to them, build all the rules and journeys, to what are the outcomes I want to drive? What's the possible content that the agent can pick from? How do I set up guardrails for the agent to operate within? So like we have a user-friendly interface where you go in and you define rules around every piece of content. And then you allow the agent to just go, right? The agent is going to go and figure out, using all the data in your data warehouse, what to send to each user, what experiences they need to get them to that desired outcome. So we kind of think of this as like instead of role-based marketing, like outcome-based marketing, right? Which for this audience, it probably shouldn't feel net new. We saw this happen already on like Performance Max on Google or Advantage Plus in ads, right? We're bringing that concept with an agent builder to all the rest of your marketing channels. So yeah, to the question of how do you build an agent, you do that directly inside of Hightouch by defining the goals, defining the content, and letting it fly within your guardrails.
So thank you, Alex. Alec, sorry. There are a few questions that kind of came in around this, right? So maybe taking a step back here for
Yeah,
agents.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, this question, a couple of questions came in. Does every agent need an MCP? And how are agents and MCPs related? Maybe we'll touch on that.
Yeah, so for Hightouch, our agents don't necessarily need MCPs.
And what's an
MCPs
MCP?
are, yeah, and
It's
MCP is
yeah, you want to take
oh,
it.
sorry, go ahead, Sarah, you go.
It's a model context protocol. So it's like it's connecting large language models to external data sources and tools. So yeah, you do need you need a standardized data lake that can touch multiple layers of your workflows and your data input. So you do need that, and on top of that, you do need a large language model to engage with those data sources, and that's what helps an agent learn and be able to develop decisioning on the fly as you engage with an agent. So that is part of it. It's not all of it, and agents are developed in coordination with other data sources, whether they're external like the open web or whether they're internal data sources. I hope that helps answer that question. And if not, you can, go in the chat window and we can dive deeper.
I do also want
Yeah.
to flag like that's specifically related to LLM based agents, like MCPs in particular. What we're building, we do have LLM based agents, but we also have reinforcement learning based agents. So I'm happy to share a blog there. I think there are some differences. The LLM is really where you need the MCP.
Yeah. And in our ecosystem, in the marketing industry, specifically with MediaMint, we are engaging with large language models. We're not biased to particularly one. We can sit on top of a customer's developed large language model and enterprise version that's secure, with ZDR, zero data retention kind of engagements. That's how we develop agentic agents for our clients, and it's specific to their organization, their rules, and their security preferences.
Awesome. All right, we there's a few more questions. I think we will actually get to some of those in the rest of the conversation. So hang tight on this. So Alec, you were talking about this paradigm shift, and so there's definitely a shift in how we think about marketing, right? Outcome based, right? Versus and so now it's all about personalization, right? So and I think we know that personalization at scale is a huge challenge in marketing. So Sarah, how can agents help deliver the right message, the right offer, to the right channel and
Yeah.
timing for every customer? How does this happen?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is where AI is brilliant. And that's because it can master large amounts of data and make decisions off of large amounts of data at one time, which is what we couldn't do before. I mean, just what Alec went through in the beginning of our session, we had to reiterate in a cyclical nature. Now you say, this is the outcome I want, and you develop your solution from there. So AI agents make personalization scalable. And this is the power of them. So they continuously match audience, content, channel, and then timing across the ecosystem. And this is both in the demand side in world and also in the supply side. So just a couple of examples here. So from, like from an audience selection, we're not using audience. I know we're changing the paradigm, Alec, but agents can ingest signals from multiple CDPs or composable CDPs and site behaviors, and then can continuously refine that on a continuous level. And then the supply side, publishers deploy agents on their side to segment first-party audiences on the publisher side. So you have your demand side and your publisher side in coordination together. And that's for the same for content and offer and creative generation. So matching content to creative. And in addition, that's also for omni-channel orchestration. So being able to shift media in more real time for a personalized message across things like display, CTV, search, and social. And what's really interesting is from a timing and context perspective, so reaching the right customer at the right time with the right ad to drive a ROAS. Agents can monitor signals like browsing patterns and purchase cycles, and I know we know like weather, location, and things like that. They can monitor all those to trigger the right at the right moment, and that's the power of what an AI agent can do in the media ecosystem across supply and demand.
Alec, anything
So
else to add?
yeah, most of what Sarah outlined definitely, I mean, it applies directly to the advertising ecosystem, right? Supply side and
Yeah.
demand side. Again, like what we're talking about also at Hightouch is applying that to your own channels, right? So kind of going back to the reference I made before of like Performance Max and Advantage Plus, that shift has already happened for ad tech. Everyone here should be pretty familiar with that. We all used to have to go into Google and traffic every ad unit, spend days and times building all those rules. And now you're just logging in, you're defining the goal that you want. And while maybe some feel like it's not there yet, like that's clearly where the path is going, and that's where we're heading. So now we're bringing that same paradigm to the rest of marketing, right? How do I use that for web decisioning? How do I use that for email, SMS, push, right? And instead of using like Facebook's add all of their data to actually like make the decisions, we're using your first party data inside of your data warehouse, context about users. We're creating content metadata. So we're learning from every single individual engagement and kind of building your own ad ecosystem decisioning within your owned channels, right? So again, it's a lot of those same capabilities, but this time really applying it to the rest of marketing.
So I think there's
Yeah,
a
and that's
question that
super
came in.
powerful. Oh yeah, no, go ahead. Let's answer questions.
No. I please go ahead, Sarah.
No, I was just going to say that's really powerful from an O and O perspective, and I think we lose sight of that. I mean, I'm very advertiser focused, and I think what Alec is saying from an owned and operated perspective, that content generation, that intelligence and that internal intelligence for an organization is really powerful. So I just want to reiterate, Alec, what you were saying there, because I think that's really important from a Hightouch POV on what you guys can do, and then also the power of that in an owned and operated environment. Matching that to the advertising and marketing ecosystem is what the power of this type of technology can do.
So there's a question that came in that I think is tied to personalization, right? But it's around what strategies can agents or we use to recognize and apply emotional triggers that influence audience behavior. Any thoughts on that?
So I can take Sarah. I don't know if you have an answer here too, but
No,
maybe
you go
I
first and then I'll go.
okay,
I went
cool.
first last.
So one of what we are actually, and I posted the blog in there, but what we're actually using behind the scenes, and not to get too technical, is contextual multi-arm bandits. What that means is we're looking at the context of every single user and saying, given all these things that I know about Sarah, how do I get Sarah to my desired outcome, right? So I think the question mentioned emotional triggers themselves, right? Like we are looking at the context of each user and figuring out what triggers we need to send to get them to that outcome. If that's an emotional, like based on some type of event that they took, great. If that's they didn't do anything at all, we're also fine. We'll look at that. So we're not just looking at like triggers themselves, but all of the context of a user.
Yeah, and emotional triggers can be, I mean, large language models can, as we know, and we've seen this in the industry and also in the news, right? They can understand sort of the timing of how a human interacts in the web ecosystem. So a lot of that is based on that timing, those browser. If you're up at 3 a.m., you might need a sleeping aid, that kind of thing. Do you get sleeping advertisements at 3 a.m. when you're on your phone, reading the news, things like that? So those are the kinds of things that that AIs really can induce and infer from those signals. And Hightouch can help power that from a user capability perspective, and that's really powerful.
So
I hope
agents
that answers the
clearly have
question.
a big role. Yeah, yeah. So I was going to say, so agents clearly have a big role to play here in personalization, right, across both paid and owned channels, as you both described. But just kind of shifting gears a little bit, what about agents that are built for analytics or engineering workflows in marketing, right? Because I think there's the other side of it too that's more focused on the engineering side. So Sarah, what have you seen happening here?
Yeah, so I'm not an engineer specialist, so I just want to preface that, my understanding of this may be nuanced to just a broader understanding of technology in and of itself. But AI agents, from my understanding in the analytics world and from the engineering POV, really act as accelerators. So, when you had to build your SaaS platform and you had to have your priorities of your sprints and your deployments, that no longer is the case. So you can build code on the fly. So agents can write SQL or Python code, and can develop those solutions in a quicker manner. So you need less engineering resources in the industry to have an outcome, to build dashboarding, to develop more sophisticated reporting from large data sets like you would have coming from like a Snowflake instance. So they really act as that kind of accelerator, that code accelerator for engineering teams. You may not need to hire so many engineers. It can write it for you. So that's really where I see that development in the space.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, in all of the examples that you both shared, these AI agents could have huge impacts on the user experiences, the brand's reputation, and ultimately revenue, right? So, hopefully, all good, right? Good impact, but it could go wrong too, right? So, what kind of guardrails and oversight are needed when AI is making or recommending marketing decisions? Sarah?
Um, do you want to go first? I can also go first.
Okay, Alan.
Okay, so I mean, okay, so I really see this broken out into a couple of buckets. So one is to have really strong governance. So in recommending decisions such as like a media plan decision, you do need to have some guardrails so the AI agent doesn't hallucinate. And this is also about having clean data. So having a clean database, knowing your users from a high touch composable CDP perspective, that's all very important. So I think governance frameworks are really important, as well as human in the loop capability to be able to decide what is approvable or not approvable, to have have that level of intelligence at this time. And then also explainability. These are some of the governance terms that are used in the industry. Explainability. So explainability is understanding why an agent has made that decision and how it got there. And having strong explainability on your AI framework is very important. And again, the operational oversight of an agentic workflow is really important. So ensuring that your high touch data lineage is accurate, ensuring that your media data in terms of past performance is accurate. All of those are important factors. So I would break it down into governance, explainability, and human in the loop.
Cool. I completely agree with Sarah. Guardrails are non-negotiable, right? You have to be able to understand, control, and trust all the decisions that are being made. So from day one, we really literally from the first day we sat down, we asked ourselves, like, what do we have to get right? We had to build a platform that marketers could most importantly trust. Like when you go into Facebook, when you go into Google, you don't know what's happening, right? And like, sure, you can build some audience level logic. Sure, you can put in certain creative, but like, you don't really feel like you have a true understanding of what's happening. And there's often concerns around hallucinations, which was a question that was brought up. So we knew that we had to get that right, which is why we built a self-serve UI for marketers that really focuses down on governance and explainability so that you understand with every decision being made, why did we make that? Down to like the subject line, it will say like, hey, we picked this because the user has these attributes, right? Or we picked this because it was an exploratory decision, right? We just needed to learn because it's a little bit of a balance between explore, exploit. From a guardrail perspective, I mean, this type of system is truly human in the loop because marketers are defining one, the objectives that they want, but then two, the content, right? Like this isn't a Gen AI system where it's just ripping out and creating all this various content for you and you don't know who's getting what. For them or for our customers, it's your content being put into the system and then you define the guardrails around it. So like one example that we have, I know someone mentioned case studies. One example we have is like PetSmart. PetSmart is a leading pet retailer in the US. They have like 75 million users in their loyalty program. They want to use AI decisioning to drive users to actually go in store and book a grooming appointment. It's highly sticky for them. So they define that as the goal of book a grooming appointment. And then they use all the different content they have in Salesforce. So whether that's like email modules, subject lines, pre-headers, different times of day, day of week. And they're setting guardrails around those pieces of content, right? Also at the agent level. Like I don't want the agent to go and send someone an email trying to get them to book a grooming appointment if they own a fish, right? So like examples like that, where you have to set the guardrails and in the system, you're building those different pieces of logic so that it's only operating within those swim lanes, no pun intended. So for us, again, we kind of think about it as human in the loop. So marketers are defining the goals, transparency and explainability, so you can understand exactly what's happening and why. And then to the point that Sarah brought up also, data lineage and governance. So the agents are actually writing back everything to the warehouse. So with every decision, your data team can see it. And most importantly, you can learn from it.
Alec, just kind of on that, there's a question that just came in to walk through an example of how Hightouch's AI decisioning was deployed for a client who had never done it before, and what are some of the tech dependencies for it to be enabled, and what were the outcomes? Is that an example maybe you can expand on?
Yeah. That definitely is. So PetSmart's a good one. I know I shared the Whoop case study, so maybe I jump into that one. Again, the whole thing with Hightouch is we're sitting on top of your existing tech stack. So I don't want to just shill Hightouch here. So give me 1 second. Let me just show you our architecture. That helps answer this question. So with our AI agents, we think about it as like a decisioning platform. It's almost like a new piece of the MarTech stack where it's a brain between your data warehouse and your marketing tools. So we're not trying to be an ESP and we're not trying to be a data warehouse. So as long as your organization has data in the warehouse where we can create what's called a user feature matrix, it's essentially us saying, what are all the things that the agent should look at to learn from? And that can be pretty standard, right? Like loyalty tier, age, gender, state, things like that. Or it can go deeper to like propensity scores. We're going to learn from that data. We're just going to read from it. We don't store any data. And then we're going to write decisions down into your downstream tools. So like Iterable, for example, that's one of the leading email platforms out there. And that's our Whoop case study. So Whoop had all their existing email templates, their SMS templates, their push templates inside of Iterable. And they're just simply plugging in Hightouch and saying, here's the things that you can use. Again, that just lives within Interval, but it just maps to Hightouch. Here's all the possible things that you could use. Here's the goal I'm trying to drive. Here's the data you should learn from, meaning the data warehouse, and now allow it to go and figure it out. They've seen a 10% lift in 6 weeks using all their existing content, and they were projecting about a 20% lift by the end of the year on that just one use case, and they're actively rolling out to more and more. We have a full webinar with them that I'm also happy to share as a resource, as well as a case study in here.
Thanks, Alec. Okay. We have talked about several use cases and capabilities. Stepping back from all of that, just looking bigger picture, what marketing workflows or tasks are you both most excited about when it comes to applying AI agents? Where do you see the biggest impact over the next year or so?
So oh, sorry, Sarah.
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
No, you go first. No, I just wanted to stay
Okay.
on top of it. This is why like MediaMint is so excited to be partners with Hightouch because of the sophistication of their technology. So I just wanted to say that because it's the diagram that you just showed, Alec, is like completely the future of how we're going to engage with data and with user intelligence. So I just wanted to say I'm your guys' biggest fan, as you know.
I love that.
But
love
yeah,
that.
go ahead. You say what you see for the future in a year, and I'll tell you what I'm excited about after that. Yeah.
Awesome. So what excites me the most is like everything I just talked through is like very pointed single use case agents, right? Like a cross sell agent, a win back agent, right? Or first to second purchase agent. And there's other decisioning platforms out there like us that are focused on like optimizing individual use cases. I think where you'll see that we differ is that we're thinking about this from like a orchestration engine perspective. So like we're not just thinking about individual agents, but an agent above those agents, right? So like how do I think about deciding what agent a user should interact with if they can qualify into many, right? Or how do I interact with the agents that your team might be using to create content? We have one of our biggest customers is a meal delivery company out in Europe, and they have 7.8 million pieces of content, right? We have other companies that have like maybe 20 different email templates with maybe a couple different subject lines, right? So like we're interacting with the agents that are creating the Gen AI or the content, the Gen AI agents, but then we're also just powering those like smaller use cases as well, and both work. So for us, we're trying to build a platform that fits kind of whatever level of maturity you're at, but then also thinks about it from less of a single agent use case and more of like an agent orchestration platform.
Yeah, I mean that's that's the future. And that's what excites me the most as well. Is agent to agent interaction and orchestration and collaboration across the ecosystem. Starting from your marketing mix modeling solutions. I'm going to talk about like sort of demand side media right now, but starting from your marketing mix modeling through to planning, activation, reporting, that full operating system view is really what excites me. And that agent to agent level sort of handoffs, as you could say, across these agents will really help transform the marketing industry to be actually more client centric in the way that they operate, and also having better marketing outcomes overall. So that's really what excites me as well.
Going to be amazing. I think there's already a lot of really exciting implementations, right, of this. It's happening now, right? I mean, and we're getting there. So yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen over the next year or so.
Going to
So
be different.
thank you both. Yeah, right. So thank you both for sharing that. So before we conclude the session, I'd like to ask you both just one more question here. If you had to give one piece of advice for marketing teams who are exploring agentic AI, what would it be?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, my advice is to start small. It's a very daunting task, this transformation that we're seeing in the industry, and the industry is transforming. The conversation is different. I'm sure we're all having different conversations across our our organizations, our operations teams, our marketing teams, our media teams. Yeah, start small. So don't try to automate everything all at once. Start with one use case, one agent. Make sure it's an agent that can self-learn. So whether you're taking a large data stack and you're just building a media planning agent, and this is what MediaMint can support and do, to support you, to support your organization, just to say that. But yeah, start small, and then from there expand. See that, and also experiment. Some things will work, some things will not work, and that's okay. You may not see an ROI of your technology investment within the first 6 months to a year, but you will see that gain and that change across your organization in future. So there is sort of a curve there in terms of investment and outcome. And we always preface that for everyone who's diving into this technology to understand that curve. But yeah, start small, experiment. That would be my my advice. And MediaMint is absolutely here to help you get into that game as well.
What about you?
So I definitely agree with everything you just said. My advice would be to think beyond Gen AI. I think that could be a spicy take. But there was recently an article that was like 95% of Gen AI pilots fail. I'm not saying Gen AI is not valuable. It absolutely is. I think it's just very early, and it will improve. But don't let Gen AI fatigue really blind you from any type of agentic pilot, right? So what we're thinking about here again is like this like reinforcement learning based agents, right? Bringing that in, thinking beyond just like content and creative and like maybe workflow optimization to more of this like decisioning capability. So there's many different flavors of AI, and I think often Gen AI might soil some of the appetite to actually go and try this stuff out. So really just start learning, start testing, kind of to what Sarah said, test small, and really keep your eyes on what's happening next and keep learning because it's going really fast. Everyone on this call is showing that you're on the right track by just being here today. So just keep taking the opportunities to learn about what's out there and ask questions.
Amazing. Well, we could talk about this all day, but unfortunately, our time is up. Sarah and Alec, thank you both for sharing your insights and your perspectives today. I learned a lot from you, and I'm really excited to see what all these agents are going to be able to do in marketing. I think it's just the beginning, right? So, yeah, thank you for that, and thank you to all of our attendees who joined us today. I know you put in lots of questions, so
Yeah.
thank you for your questions. I think we got to them all. If not, let us know. But you will be getting some follow-up communications shortly. I know Alec has shared a lot of links as well. We'll get those out in the email comms as well. But if you would like to learn more about the agents that we talked about in today's session, or if you'd like to chat more about anything that we discussed, feel free to reach out to any of us. And I know, Sarah, as you said, right, as partners, MediaMint and Hightouch, we are working together to help our clients in exactly these types of solutions. So happy to talk to folks who are interested in learning more. So thank you again. Thank you to all of you, and have a great rest of your day.